Okay, so this is a quick overview of the solution that you will have access to. The solution is called Business Value Capture. The solution is called Business Value. Inside it, and this is what we're going to do a quick walkthrough. This is what you get. Just let that UI refresh. I'm going to start with the Dataverse tables, just to give you an overview of what they're actually for. Business units. Now, business units are used in the Value Admin app, and we use business units to simply describe and build up the hierarchy of the organization. So you'd have Contoso as a business unit, and then for each organization underneath Contoso, maybe or departments, sorry, like finance, sales, operations, whatever, you would add them in as business units. The GitHub repo contains some sample data that's been exported directly from this screen, so you would simply import it for your own demonstration purposes. I'll then move on to strategic objectives. Strategic objectives are, as the table kind of implies, they are definitions of what the organization is actually trying to achieve and the direction that they're moving in. We have average costs. Average costs covers the average cost of something, whether that's a support call, how much downtime costs per hour, the average deal size, the average incident workplace injury cost, average employee salary, average employee turnover cost. Any averages that can be aligned to the business unit will help with the value calculation. We then have value assessment story. So as the user, now these two tables are really used quite heavily in the Canvas app, which is called the Story Capture app. So the value assessment story is where the story is stored, both the original version and the AI enhanced version, and some other metadata that we use to manage other conditions in the app. So for example, it's publishing status. We then have value assessment collected data. So as the story is analyzed against objectives, we store that information in this table, and as the user accepts whichever ones they agree with are updated. I'll move to AI models next, or these are prompts, should I say. We have two assessments that work slightly differently, but follow a very similar kind of theme. We have the assessment for an existing app, and we have the assessment for a proposal. Now, these assessments, they iterate over the objectives and goals using that AI generated and approved story. We then have the prompt that actually creates the enhanced success story and those tags that are extracted from the objective. There are two apps that we should talk about. We have the admin app. This is where the metadata about the organization, the strategic objectives, and the average costs are kind of managed. We have business value capture, which is the application that makers will use to assess the apps that they own or the ideas that they have. We have some choice columns. I don't think I need to talk about those too much. They're obvious. Hopefully they're obvious enough. We have some flows. Now, you should be aware there's more than one way of starting an assessment. The admin can initiate an assessment, or the app maker can initiate an assessment. The way that those assessments are initiated is different. The admin would do it through this flow, so they pass in the ID of the app and the ID of the environment, and we use the connector, the admin API to detect the owner and then send them an adaptive card asking them to perform an assessment with like a custom link that opens the assessment app with the context kind of set. We have a flow that manages enhanced story generation, so that leans on the prompt that I just spoke to you about, and it takes the original text of the story, uses the prompt to enhance it, and then that is returned to the user. We have the flow that is responsible for extracting those tags from the objective and goal. Then we have two flows, one that measures the success of the assessment analysis of a proposal or an existing app. And then we have the flow that is triggered when the story is approved by the maker. This flow is triggered, and it will create a page in SharePoint for them. We have a few connection references here, approvals, which actually I don't think we need anymore, so I'll probably be removing that. Dataverse, obviously, we have Teams, Office 365 users, the Power Platform connectors, and SharePoint Online. There are a few environment variables. There are 3, in fact. The Community Hub URL. This is the URL of the SharePoint site that will be used to create SharePoint pages. So pass the URL up to the site collection level. The Business Value App URL. This is the launch URI for the Value Capture app. So back here, this one. So the launch URI for that will be the environment variable. And then we have the admin email, which isn't actually used anymore, so we can probably remove it. But I will probably do that in a future version. That's pretty much everything that we need to cover. Everything else is pretty much standard in there. So yeah, it's an overview of what you get.